the start, when you're appraising a property, we don't give a exact rental amount. We give a range. We give a range that we're going to try for this amount, but the lowest is potentially going to be this. So we always say just go off that lower figure because you can work out your finances. You can be okay with that lower figure, but of course we're going to try and get you more if we can. When it comes to communication around reducing, it's already an expectation because you've already set that. And it's about regularly informing those owners as well when the property is on the market. After every inspection, it's actually not on inspection viewing, it's actually not that hard to just flick the owner a text message. Like we've got all this, these mobile devices and everything we've got now to be able to quickly flick a text message and just keep them up to date. Doesn't need to be a lengthy phone call every time, but after every viewing, hey, I've had only 3 people come through today. One's probably, a no. The other two seem okay. Hopefully we'll get some applications and I'll follow those up and I'll let you know what's going on.
Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm Kylie Walker. Thank you so much for being here. Now, as property managers and business owners, it's really easy to feel overwhelmed by the daily challenges we face, whether it's handling tenants that are difficult, navigating market fluctuations, or managing an unexpected maintenance crisis. But here's the truth. Success often lies in not controlling every situation, but in controlling how we react to those situations. Taking ownership of our choices, letting go of burdens that we can't change, and focusing on what's within our control is essential, not just for the success of your business, but for your well-being too. A mindset shift can transform your approach, helping you stay resilient, maintain balance, and deliver exceptional service without carrying that unnecessary stress. To explore this topic, I'm joined by the amazing Amanda Wiapo, Director and Property Manager at Homely Property Management in New Zealand. Amanda has built a career rooted in strong relationships, exceptional service, and an unwavering commitment to professionalism. With years of experience across Marlborough, Auckland, and the Manawatu region, Amanda has seen it all. And today, she'll share her strategies for navigating the ups and downs of property management with clarity, focus, and grace. In this episode, we're going to discuss the power of choice and reaction as a day-to-day property manager. And Amanda, like all of us, has ridden life's roller coaster and at times has barely just clung on. But it's these lessons that have come out of these challenging periods in her life that have formed the foundations of making her not just a good property manager, but a great one. Stay tuned as we take a deep dive into how mindset, decision-making, and letting go of what you can't control can revolutionize your professional and personal life. It's a conversation I'm sure you won't want to miss. Amanda, welcome back to the Property Management Podcast. I'm so excited that you're joining me for another amazing conversation. Now, Amanda is no stranger to the podcast, so if you want to hear a little bit about Amanda's background, go back and listen to one of the previous episodes. But Amanda, tell us a little bit about what's happening with Homely right now. Amanda's from New Zealand, and maybe give us a little bit of an update on what's happening in the property market over there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so yeah, Homely, we are now 3 years old. It's been quite the journey and quite the growth as well. So when I first talked to you, Kylie, we were just a team of 2, me and Billy Tossi, who started up Homely, and now we're a team of 6. So yeah, it's been phenomenal growth, get that word right. And yeah, we're really excited to see where we're going to go next. We're kind of talking about going into other regions in New Zealand and what that looks like. We actually have extended down to the Kapiti coast. So that's as far as we are at the moment. But yeah, really excited to see what the next year brings and move our model into other regions.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And what's happening with the market over there? Yeah, update us on are you experiencing similar struggles to Australia? Is affordability becoming an issue over there? What are some of your trends and struggles?
Yeah, specifically where we are at the moment, we are seeing rents actually lowering just to be able to get people into homes. to have properties not sit vacant for a long period of time. It does get a little slower leading up to Christmas as well, and then normally kicks off again in the new year. But probably like the last, I'd say 6 months even, it has been harder to get people into rentals. Just not a lot of movement. And I'm not sure if that's because a lot of people are now going overseas. A lot of people in New Zealand do head to Australia for work opportunities. But yeah, it has been a very, very different market. We are still seeing, though, a lot of people investing in property. A lot of people who became what I call accidental landlords a couple of, years back are now looking to sell because the interest rates are dropping, the small buyers around, and yeah, so we're losing a few of those properties. But we are still getting a lot of new build properties from investors. So it's a bit of a mix, but it's still positive. We're still getting more managements, more rentals onto the market. It's just finding the right tenants at a good time is the most difficult thing right now. It
Yeah.
probably takes, I'd say 6 weeks. You give yourself a couple of weeks to find the tenant, but then there's also the 4-week notice period if they are moving from another property.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very similar in some ways in Australia as well at the moment. But what we are properties are starting to sit on the market for a little bit longer now, and that reason is, I believe, is that the affordability has gone crazy, especially in Queensland and at my local market, and we're really struggling to get people that can actually afford the rental increases at the moment. We've got this new legislation where we can only increase the rent once every 12 months. So, which is really skewing the market. So if you have a look on like realestate.com at the moment, you might have properties in the same street that some might be sitting there at 500 because they can't be put up for another 6 months. But then you've got others that'll be sitting there at $700 in the same street. So it's really, and so, obviously investors are coming to us going, why is mine only 500 when this one's 700? And you're having to have those conversations. Well, that's because they probably can't put the rent up for another 6 months or 12 months due to the new legislation, which actually brings me, I guess, to the topic we're going to talk about today, which is the power of choice and reaction as a day-to-day property manager. That conversation for property managers can be really awkward and difficult to explain to owners when they're saying why, they're seeing online that there's, $200 price differences in properties. And, you can take that on as, feeling like uncomfortable or not good about that you're not achieving as high as other agencies in the area, but it's really a situation that's completely out of your control, and the only thing we can do about it is have conversations about it.
Yep.
And there's so many things like that in property management, isn't there?
Yep, conversations and honesty. Just be honest. If you're not honest and something goes wrong, well, you're not doing your job, and people find out, don't they? So yep, conversations and just really good relationships as well with your owners and your tenants, because if you don't have those relationships, things are hard to discuss, or they're, I guess, difficult to, or it could be that tenants find it difficult to talk to you about something, so they hide it. So yeah, just those relationships and those conversations are key in property management.
Yeah, and I guess what you're experiencing over at the moment is the price reduction conversation. That is a very awkward conversation to have. And we're a little bit off topic, but I will bring you back to it. But I think it's a really important thing to note is we've got probably a generation of property managers here in Australia who have probably never had to have the price reduction conversation with the client. So talk to me about that process for you and how you handle those conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. From the start, when you're appraising a property, we don't give a rental amount, we give a range. We give a range that we're going to try for this amount, but the lowest is potentially going to be this. So we always say, just go off that lower figure because you can work out your finances, you can be okay with that lower figure, but of course we're going to try and get you more if we can. When it comes to communication around reducing, it's already an expectation because you've already set that. And it's about regularly informing those owners as well when the property is on the market. After every inspection, it's actually not on inspection viewing, it's actually not that hard to just flick the owner a text message. Like we've got all this, these mobile devices and everything we've got now to be able to quickly flick a text message and just keep them up to date. Doesn't need to be a lengthy phone call every time. But after every viewing, hey, I've had only 3 people come through today. One's probably, a no. The other two seem okay. Hopefully we'll get some applications and I'll follow those up and I'll let you know what's going on. And then just at least every second date is touching base with them and being willing to move that rent down quickly. If you're not getting the inquiry at the higher rate after maybe 2 days even, you know that you're not going to get it. It's going to be difficult. Drop it quick. Otherwise, it becomes stale online. So these are all conversations that we have with the owners right from the start, just to ensure those expectations are set and you don't feel like you're failing them, pretty much.
And I guess that brings us to our topic then. All these conversations, the things that we do day to day as a property manager, we take a lot of, the disappointment. If the property's damaged, we can take it personally. We can wake up at night, as you said earlier off camera, we were talking about this. A lot of property managers wake up in the middle of the night feeling terrible about forgetting something or not getting something done in time. But it's not really our responsibility to wear that burden or carry that stress, is it?
No, no, absolutely not. And let's be honest, there's a lot of challenges in our industry, whether you're dealing with, different personality types or just outrageous things that the tenants have done, or even sadly just dealing with a large workload, that's yeah, pretty much unmanageable. So if you're looking at all those factors, it's a lot that we can deal with, but you've got to remember that again, you have the choice with how you react to all of those. And that's what people have to remember. If a tenant does damage to a property, if an owner is being, I don't know, demanding in some way in regards to some unnecessary maintenance or not wanting to do maintenance, you've got to remember that's not on you. That is not your choice. As long as you are controlling the communication and setting those expectations with everyone and being honest to every party, you've done your job. So you should be able to walk out at the end of the day and go, I've done everything I can. And putting that aside now, it's not going to affect the rest of my day. It's not going to affect my sleep. I've done my job.
Yeah, and I think falling back on legislation helps with that as well. When you're having those conversations or those grey areas, I think always going back to whether you're dealing with an owner or a tenant, go back to what the legislation says about that situation, and it takes the onus off you and it puts the responsibility back on one or the other parties.
Mhm.
Is that the same? Is that how you handle those types of things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But with legislation, it is always grey in areas and people do challenge those areas. But yeah, all you can do is go back and give advice and keep pushing forward to what you think needs to be done. Because our job is there to protect owners from, whether they're not doing maintenance and fines and all that kind of thing that tenants can actually go for with landlords now. So
Well,
as long as we've done everything we can, then we're good.
we should be right to sleep at night and
We
not
should
wake
be
up.
right to sleep at night and not wake up at night. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
talk to me through some of. So you mentioned about like if tenants are doing damage at a property, and we carry that like we've done something wrong, like we've caused that damage. How do we not make that about us and make that about the situation? Do you have some strategies around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like say you went to an inspection. Maybe it's the first inspection you've been to, or it's an inspection that you're going to for the first time that you've taken over from another agency. You get there and you just walk away feeling like, what have I done? Or how has this occurred? Is this my fault? All those kind of things. And unfortunately, you do get some property managers who don't know how to handle that and will ignore that. We've had quite a few managements who've taken over, done the first inspections, and owners have gone, I had no idea. I had no idea that damage was there, or that hasn't even been reported, that area in photographs or anything for months, because it's just, easier to avoid than to actually face what's happening. But you do feel some type of responsibility when those things go wrong, and it is difficult to have those conversations with the owners. But it's more difficult, I think, to not have those conversations with the owners because they will find out at some point. So really what you have when you have done something like that or come across something like that, you have your choice. So you have your choice to ignore, or you have your choice to react and make a plan and know that that damage that tenant's done, that was their choice. You haven't put that damage there. You're not to blame. However, it is there, and now you have to react, tell the owner, make a plan, and move forward, and just be honest.
And I guess it comes down to problem solving as well. Like
Mm,
that is really one of our biggest roles, isn't it? Properties
it
are
is.
vacant. We've got to find a tenant, find that solution.
Mm-hmm.
Properties are priced too high. We've got to find the right price to put it at. Property's damaged. We've got to get it fixed. Property's not compliant. It's all. I guess if you go into it with that mindset of problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't take on that burden and that guilt or that
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. But I think because we are women, a lot
Mm-hmm.
of us in property management, I think, we are that nurturing and the problem solving, but we take it too far. We take it to that emotional level rather than just going, there's a hole in the wall. Find a tradesperson to patch up that hole, fix it, paint it, and pass on the invoice.
Yeah,
Rather
but
than, yes,
yeah, a lot of people go, oh my gosh, I have to tell the owner it's going to cost them money. They're not going to be happy about paying with it. I'm going to be, I'm going to be disappointing them. It's going to cause you anxiety. There can be a whole lot of stuff that goes around in people's heads for something that's actually very small and very fixable. I feel like anything in property management that you come across, there is always a solution. There is never not a solution. Everything has to continue to move forward. So what do we do next? Yeah. And
ab-
again, that's your choice, whether you make that plan or you sit back on it and feel anxious, or you get it off your chest and move from it.
do you have any practical ways that you would deal with those sort of problems and do that problem solving? I mean, I know when I started out, I have a sheet of paper where I would just write down what's the problem, what's the conflict here. The owner doesn't want to get the carpets replaced, but the owner wants the carpets fully replaced, but the tenants only want to patch it up. What is the legislation? I'd have this whole list that I'd just go through and write down so that I'd get to kind of the resolution clearly in front of me. Do you have anything that you sort of practically would do to problem solve or?
Very similar to you, actually. I love a good list. But to be honest, it depends on the situation. And sometimes when you are faced with a difficult situation, the way that you react could be that you choose not to react straight away. That you think, okay, this has happened. I'm just actually going to sit back for maybe, I don't know, half the day, process what's happened, come up with that solution. So there you go. That's your writing the list. What are these steps? And then I'm going to react. Because if I react in the moment, I may actually give some advice that's not quite right, or yeah, which may actually make the situation worse. So sometimes it's like, okay, thanks for letting me know. I'm just going to take some time and I'm going to get back to you. Let me come up with a plan.
I love that. That's brilliant advice because so
Mm,
many times where we are going through our to-do lists, we're
mhm.
frantic. We just want to get tick and flick, tick and flick,
Yeah.
to get shit done. But then the really important stuff that we probably do need to spend that time on, we don't. We just kind of tick and flick through that, and then it ends
Mhm.
up becoming a bit more of a problem. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link kolmeo.com/thatpropertymum, and Kolmeo is KOLMEO.
Far bigger problem. Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same when someone is, I guess, not happy with something. Maybe it's an owner who isn't happy because things have gone wrong in that tenancy, and they ring you and they just go, 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 and you say, yep, I'm listening. Yes, I've got that. And they want you to react, and they want you to say, oh, I'm really sorry, and I'll give you this and I'll do this. And it's like, okay, I've heard everything you've said. I'm actually just gonna, step away. I'm gonna go through all your points. I've written them down as you've been talking to me. I'm gonna come up with a plan and I'm gonna get back to you.
Yeah.
Because if I stand on the phone and I promise all these things, half the time I might not even remember what I've promised because it's been quite a reactive conversation. It's again going to become quite messy. Oh, you said this. I said, oh, look, I'm really sorry. I actually don't remember the conversation is quite heated. But if you remove yourself from that situation, have the time to process, write down your plan, make your plan, then you can come back and react in the way that you should be reacting.
Absolutely. And I like this idea of the power of choice as a day-to-day property manager because, we all have stuff happening at home that we have, and when you step into your work environment, you can either choose to bring that stuff from home with you into the workplace or into your conversations or your emails, or you can choose, right, I'm at work now, I've got to leave that behind me and, become this version of myself today.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's like, the old saying of wearing different hats. You put one hat on, you take it off, and then you're in a different role, isn't it? It's quite interesting because with Homely, we are all independent. So we all actually work from home. And it's quite difficult sometimes to separate the two. It is something you have to learn to do. If I remember, I'd be like working, I'll just go put on dinner and I'll just deal with my kids because they're doing this. But now I am able to separate the two, which is really cool because I've chosen to work at home. I've chosen to have that flexibility with my kids, and now it's my choice to be able to work around that. So yeah.
No, I love that. I think I'm podcasting is my only day working from home and I absolutely love it. I just, get dressed from here up. The rest of it is slippers and Lorna Jane workout pants. But yeah, that flexibility is great. But even working from home, you've still got to show up on Zooms. You've got to show up, you've still got to, have those phone conversations and even, when you're feeling a bit down, and not feeling yourself, or you're feeling under a lot of pressure, when somebody sends you a email that, you're quicker to take that email the wrong way. So I guess your advice on, even when you get an email, if you're not sure how to respond and you're wanting to react, step away from the email, come back to it, and then when you're feeling a little bit more in control of your emotions.
I find emails are so funny because you can read them in any context that you like. You can read them in a voice that's grumpy. You can read them in a voice that's happy. If you see an email come through and you're like a bit funny about it, you know what? I'm going to sit there with a smile on my face as I read this to make it sound like they're talking to me positively. If I think they are upset about something, I normally don't email back. I just pick up the phone.
Yep.
Hey, look, I've got this email. I'm not too sure how I'm meant to be taking it, if it's just really factual, if you're upset about something. So I'd really just love to have a conversation with you, and then I'm happy to reply to your email so we have it in writing, but I'm just not sure how you're feeling right now. So I don't want to respond in case I respond negatively to you. Yeah.
I like that as well, and I'm with you. I'd rather pick up the phone. The minute there's an email from a tenant or an owner or one of my team, and I have been guilty in the past of not doing that, but I have learnt over the years that pick up the phone or go and speak to that person directly if they're in your office. Is everything okay? Like, I'm not sure what's going on. And it's funny if somebody is actually cranky at you, when you actually do pick up the phone, and I do this, like you said, you're smiling when you're reading your email. I have a smile if I know it's going to be a little bit confrontational. I smile when I answer the phone. Hi, it's Kylie from I Think Property. How are you today?
Yeah.
Automatically, it's hard for them to be cranky at you because you're projecting that positive energy
Yes.
back to them. It's
Hmm.
really hard for them to be cranky with you. So, and that's again, that's coming back to that. That's a choice that I make.
Yeah.
And they could be so rude to me in that email, but I
Hmm.
still, I have the choice to change that trajectory of that conversation or that conflict. And I'll tell
Yes.
you what, 9 times out of 10, whatever they were cranky about, it dissolved. We have a conversation, we get it resolved, and there's nothing more said about it. Delete the email and
Yeah.
move on.
Never happened. Yes, but there is also that next step as well. When you do get on the phone to someone and they are upset, that they will just continue. And a lot of the time, it's like, what's the next step I can do here? Hey, how about I come down to the property, show me what you're upset about, and we can talk through it. And when they see you face to face and you greet them and you're like, hi, I'm Amanda from Homely. I'm really sorry that you're upset and I've had to come down, but I'm here to make a plan and let's get this sorted. That next step is always really powerful as well, because when you're person to person with them, they can see your reactions with your face. I can see their reactions with their face, and you can kind of move that conversation along a lot easier. And sometimes it's like, if they continue to go, it's hold on, I've come down to see you. I hear what your concerns are, but you do need to let me have an opportunity to respond and sort this for you. So sometimes those face to face conversations are needed as well.
That's all very valuable, great strategies. I've done that a few times recently. I've had a few vacates at properties, and I know they were not going to be great based off the last routine inspections, which is why their leases weren't renewed. And I've gone and done a pre-vacate inspection with them. I had a conversation, walked through the property with them, and that's worked really well. The vacates, I've given them the cleaners' contact details while I'm there, and I've talked through them through the process. I've told them what maintenance is theirs to fix, what is the owner's maintenance to fix. I'll tell you what, those, and I've been able to turn over the properties really quickly because I've got trades in there before the lease actually ended for the stuff that I had to fix or the property owner had to fix. But yeah, that face to face really does work well, and sometimes people do just want to be heard. There is actually no problem. There is no conflict. They just want to vent their frustrations. And,
Hmm.
I've sometimes will just put my phone on mute and I'll keep working and they'll be just talking and then I'll quickly go off. Yep, that's okay. I'm listening. You know what I mean? But it's,
Yeah.
probably not ideal way to deal with things, but, sometimes there's people that you just doesn't matter what you're going to do, you're not going to change them, you're not going to change the situation. All you can do is just listen to them and move on.
Yes, yeah. I've actually recently just had a quite an odd experience with that, with someone that we just can't make happy. And I had been trying to give this person compensation because there's a bit of cleaning that needed to be done when she moved into the property, which was a property we took over from another agency. So we got this property that needed a lot of stuff done to it and didn't quite get everything done before the tenant moved in. And I tried and tried and tried just to give this lady some compensation to say thank you. And every time she just wouldn't accept it or anything. So I actually had to apply for a mediation, which this adjudicator had never even heard of before, to try and give the tenant some compensation money. It was, it's completely, yeah. But again, I said to myself, look, I can leave it and she can keep going at me, or I can make the choice to get this sorted and apply to give someone compensation so we can move on. And that's not something that I don't think any agency would really put themselves in a position to do. And but now it's resolved. I have a court order that says that I have to give the tenant some money, which I've done, and we can move on from it.
Oh, that's hilarious. I've never heard of that one before. You have to apply to court to give somebody money to.
Yeah,
Was she
but
just
at the
wanting
end,
to go at you?
yeah,
She didn't want a resolution. She just wanted to keep going at you.
yeah.
Was
I
that
think that was it.
Michael?
That was it. But I said this is only going to come to an end if we have a mediator, and all I'm wanting to do is give you some money so we can move on from this and apologize and pay for the bit of cleaning that you had to do yourself. And yeah, in the end, I actually We actually ended up giving her less money because I said, oh, you know what, this has actually taken up an awful lot of our time, which is money. Time is money. So in the mediation, I said, look, I'm actually not going to be offering less now because you haven't taken the initial compensation. We're going back and forward. You're taking up an awful lot of unnecessary time, and my time is money. So now this is what you're going to get, and that's what she walked away with. So
Yep. Good on
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Again, that's your choice. And I love that you really are thinking through the whole cycle of what time you're putting into this, how to
Mhm.
resolve it. Like it's I love that it's a more holistic approach to, yeah, you're just not in that panic, that stress, that
No.
you know what I mean? It's all very calm. It's yeah.
We
Uh,
have to. Again, it's your choice on how you react. Again, that's what it all comes down to. And my reaction was that, I actually just want to get this resolved. And if I have to put in a application for me to pay compensation to somebody, which is never heard of, I'm just going to do it. Like, why not? Get it resolved, move on, and then I no longer have to deal with it. So done.
Absolutely. Now, are there any other areas that you wanted to share about that you've experienced? Because I know obviously you've got, a huge lot of experience and background in property management. Are there any other situations that you have experienced in the past or maybe now that you feel that property managers really should be looking to make better choices around some of the things that they're dealing with or the way they're handling things?
Yeah, do you know what? You've actually already touched on it, and you're the only other person that I know who does this. It might be something common in Australia, but it's not common here in New Zealand. And that's what we call that pre-exit inspection.
Yeah.
I think it is something that everybody should be doing. When a tenant vacates a property, obviously they've vacated. They no longer have access to that property. You get cleaners in to resolve everything. You get, handymen in to fix damage, whatever you need to do. There is never a chance to go through and make sure and communicate with those tenants to ensure that on their last day they have everything done. Yes, they might get a checklist for cleaning that they need to follow. Are they actually doing it? Have they printed it off? So yeah, we offer that as well. A couple of days before their vacate, we're going through, making sure they're actually vacating the house. That's one other one. Make sure they're actually boxing their stuff up and not still just living there. And then just giving all that advice on what needs to be done. We walk through, oh, there's some damage on that wall. I'm just going to bring up your entry inspection. Look, that damage wasn't there when you first moved in. Do you know how it occurred? Have those conversations. So when they do go to vacate, then it's just a lot smoother. They already know the expectation. They already know that there's potentially going to be a cost for things and stuff like that. So I love that you're doing it, but yeah, I don't know anyone else over here that does do that.
Yeah, I only do it for problem properties. I don't do it for all properties, but only for the ones that I know are going to be issues
Yeah.
at the end.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's yeah, yeah, I think it's absolutely essential for
Hmm.
those properties. So,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
does make things roll over a lot quicker at the
Hmm.
end
Yeah.
of the
I,
tenancy. So,
I mean, look, I do it for everybody because I think even the best tenants can have an accident as at the end of the tenancy. It could be a stain on the carpet that they haven't dealt with, or they may have just not cleaned their oven yet. So if you're walking through a couple of days before and you see the oven isn't clean, you can just give them that reminder, because if you don't, then again, it's getting the cleaner in, organized, and it's just more admin for you that you don't actually necessarily need.
yeah.
So if you choose to do that, then it makes your job a lot smoother.
Absolutely. No, I love that you've
Everyone
shared.
do pre-exits.
Yes,
Yeah.
pre-exit inspections, definitely. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think I think one thing we probably don't do enough of,
Hmm.
either as business owners or property managers, is actually sit down and think about what are the choices that I can make in my day-to-day life, my week-to-week life, that are actually going to make my life easier, more
Hmm.
efficient, and save me money or streamline my expenses. It's something like we just kind of keep rolling on with our lives. But this conversation, I think, has been brilliant because I'm actually sitting here thinking about, what choices have I been making that, and I know there's a lot that are making my life probably more complicated. I'm stressing about things that I really shouldn't be stressing about. So yeah, I think this is a really valuable conversation, and taking it one step further than just your property management life, but incorporating the choices you're making outside of, and I know like you're a working mum. So yeah, do you maybe just even share some of the choices and things that you've put in place in your life to balance that work life,
Yeah,
synergy?
absolutely. So I completely pretty much rely on my calendar. And every week I look at my calendar and I think, how can I make this week easier for myself? So, I mean, at first when I started, like when I do, I guess, inspections, I would have inspection nearly every day. So I was running around out of the house nearly every day. And I just remember one day sitting down and going, I actually don't enjoy going out for short periods of time back and forth. I just don't think it's a very good use of my time. So now I do inspections once a week.
Yep.
So I have an inspection day. I just go out for the entire day and do at least usually about 5 inspections on that day, and my inspections are done for the week. So I chose to do that so that it's more efficient. Um, I'm only leaving the house once a week. I mean, it's good for the environment too, isn't it? You're not driving everywhere all the time. And every other day is for other appointments, whether I do need to go out and do an appraisal, which I'm not doing too much of anymore with all the new team members. So I'm helping just for them to build their portfolios. And yeah, everything else I can pretty much just do from home and just work on the business. It was just not working for me having to chop and change in between everything so often. So I made that choice just to have, my inspections just on one day a week.
That's
It made
amazing.
it a lot easier. When it comes to my personal life, I do have, yes, 3 children. My youngest is just turned 3, and my eldest is 16 and is learning how to drive. That's not a choice of mine, but she's doing good. And with kids, you've obviously got school, which you got to drop them to and pick them up every day. So that's a non-negotiable. Those are always in my calendar. My work goes around those. And then they've got all their activities as well. So I do limit my children as to how many activities they can do because I don't want to be running around every afternoon. I like to have time at home. I like to have that one-on-one or that time with my children in the house. So they're only allowed to do, a certain amount of activities. So we are not out every afternoon chasing our tails, really.
Abs-
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had done that with my children. I was out literally mornings every afternoon and weekend. So my kids played every sport known to man. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter did dancing, which I was glad when she hung up the ballet shoes. Yes, so that's great advice, I think, for anyone listening about making those choices to make that align with your way you want to raise your children, way you want to live your life,
Mm-hmm.
not having that downtime and that one-on-one connection time, which is
Yeah.
sometimes I think, not that I did it for this reason, but sometimes you can fill your kids' calendars with so many activities, and then by the time you get home, you're all exhausted. It's dinner,
Mm-hmm.
bath, bed. You don't even have that, what happened today
Yeah.
conversation. What have you been up to?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's really great advice. So I know you've shared some amazing value, tips and stuff in this conversation. So thank you so much. I really am very grateful that you joined me again for another amazing conversation, and wishing you and the Homely team all the best. I'll hopefully catch up again in the new year and we can have another conversation, all things property management.
Sounds perfect. Thanks for your time, Kylie.
I'm super excited to share today's podcast sponsor, HD and You, with you. Having met Stuart Hayes and worked with him on the show, I know firsthand how passionate he is about transforming workplace dynamics for real estate teams. With decades of expertise, HD and You creates unparalleled team experiences that elevate both well-being and performance. They make leadership simpler, smarter, and more effective by focusing on the needs of people and the goals of the business. HD&U doesn't just develop leaders, they build empowered, cohesive teams that truly understand how to work together for maximum impact. Whether it's streamlining processes, boosting morale, or unlocking new levels of productivity, HD&U equips real estate leaders with the tools to lead with confidence and clarity. Hallelujah, that sounds amazing to me. Experience the future of team success with HD&U, where better work really does begin. And here's something special for That Property Mum listeners. HD&U is offering an exclusive team and culture-focused survey, complete with an analysis and a one-on-one debrief with Director Stuart Hayes, all for an incredible price of just $750. Head to the show notes to find out more. Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.